Ladies and gentlemen, audience of the talkies, we present to you the very first ever, the premiere of The Golden Helmet.
What does the golden helmet mean, Taylor?
The golden helmet is reserved for very, 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 very special films. Films that excel at what they're doing, and really achieve the best out of film as an art form, the greatest of the greatest.
We have covered some really good movies here on the talkies and some really, really bad movies, but every so often we see a movie that needs to be put on a higher pedestal. It needs to be differentiated from the rest of the crowd. And so for those special times, we bring out the golden helmet. We ring the helmet. Let the helmets ring out. For today we have seen Hereditary.
Yes. Yeah.
And it was phenomenal.
Yeah. I loved it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I really like this movie.
Yeah.
So you were telling me earlier that you don't care for horror in general.
Not in general, no. I'm huge into sci-fi. I liked Annihilation a lot because it was sci-fi / horror-ish. But really horror movies I'm just try to stay away from because mostly I don't like them.
They mostly suck.
Yeah, I don't know.
Most horror movies are terrible.
The only one that I've seen that I've really enjoyed has been The Shining and this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I'm giving the golden helmet to this one.
Yeah, and I consider myself a fan of horror in the sense that I like the potential of horror.
You like where it can go?
The idea of
the
horror.
idea
of horror.
Just not horror movies.
Yeah, so I've been actively on the search for a truly scary horror movie, and I thought I might get that from The Witch, but I did not get that from The Witch. I did not get that from The Babadook, and I did not get that from It Follows. But I did finally get that true sense of, dread and fear from a film from this movie, Hereditary. It was actually scary and actually really, really unnerving.
And while being scary, while doing horror successfully, also just plain old being a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
where it
absolutely.
gets everything right.
Yeah, everything was right. It was filmed beautifully. It was shot beautifully.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The performances were all great.
Yeah.
So
all of
good.
them.
By the way, we have a typecast situation. The mother in this, the name of her character is Annie.
Annie, yeah.
So she just was terrifying as she descended into madness.
Yeah.
So genuine, totally believable. Well, guess what other similar role she once played?
Kevin.
She's the mother of Cole in The Sixth Sense.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
She has once before played the mother who's being driven crazy by the supernatural occurrences around her child.
Man, this is so one other time when I just was truly scared of a female on screen was that time. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Wow. That is really cool. She does an amazing job. She gives a great performance.
She always plays moms, too. She's also the mom in Little Miss Sunshine, which is another really good performance, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was great. The young man who plays the brother Peter.
He's in a lot of things.
He's in a lot of things right now. His name's Alex Wolff. He was in Jumanji, which was huge this year.
He was the nerd.
He was The Rock.
Yeah.
The Rock.
But he was fantastic in this.
Yeah.
He just genuinely, and when it started, I was almost a little distracted because they clearly weren't trying to cast in such a way that it looked like they were a biological family.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to get really critical, I could say he looks like he was adopted.
Right.
Yeah.
He's not actually part of this family, but the story is that they are, right? And you completely forgot that they don't look alike.
Yeah.
Because it was so genuinely well performed.
Yeah, there was one moment where I thought it was going to go that way, where they were going to say
You're
not
adopted.
pretty much say you're adopted. But what they did instead, they did so well that, again, like you said, you kind of it just almost doesn't matter.
It does, right?
In the end, it didn't at all.
Where the scene I'm referring to is when I believe it's like the dream within a dream sequence, Inception or whatever.
Yeah.
When the mom is in there and she's like, I didn't want to have you.
Yeah.
And all that, and then they are doused in paint thinner.
Yeah.
In a cut edit. That's amazing.
Yeah, that was just gut wrenching.
Yeah.
So gut wrenching. Oh my gosh. That's the other thing that gets this film, like, it makes these characters like a family, and it gives a lot of context to their relationships that they have with each other. They give a lot of context to the damages that goes on there, and they use that for the horror.
There was real fear and trauma that was not related to the supernatural parts of this.
Yeah.
That was like the cherry on top, and really didn't even become a factor until the third act.
Right.
Yeah.
But you genuinely felt afraid and real sort of trauma and stress over just what was happening to this family.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the devastation that they're going through.
Yeah.
Of like,
you could see any teenage boy making the mistakes that boy made that led up to his sister being killed.
right.
You really could.
That's what made it
That's what
so
makes
scary.
it so visceral and real.
Yeah.
Man, the cinematography in here blew my mind.
Yeah.
It's so good. One of the shots that I just was like, holy crap, I've never even seen in another movie, was when he goes to look at the rearview mirror to check on his sister, because he already knows what happened, and they sit on the shot of a close-up of him for like 20 seconds. And then
really long.
And then there's a shot where they go up to the rearview mirror, and we see part of it, and then the camera goes back down. And you're like, oh, I want to see. So good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, there's a lot of really cool, like there's a lot of cool camera work in that sense, where they always keep the camera focused on the family. I felt like, even when there's other people around.
Yeah.
So like when the mom was in the trauma therapy group.
Yeah.
And she's like telling her story about like her mother's history and like the trauma there and stuff like that, and how her mom died. And then she's talking to the whole group. Then it's all kind of medium on her. It gets closer and closer on her. Then she starts talking directly to the counselor. And when she does that, the camera then, still on the mom, pulls back over the guy's shoulder, and the shot becomes an over-the-shoulder shot.
Yeah.
All in like one fluid
I noticed
motion.
that too. Like at first it distracted me that we weren't seeing the face.
Yeah.
There was another scene when Peter is in class at school, and the teacher notices that he's not paying attention and asks him to answer a question, and he's like, "Oh, what?" And then another student in the classroom answers the question.
We never cut to her.
You hear her whole answer, but they never show her.
Yeah.
The cameras stay on the main characters.
Yeah.
And stuff like that it's like little things like that just add and keeps you uneasy and really nervous.
It did make you give a sense of unease.
Yeah.
Another thing that I really liked about this was they actually went against a standard rule in horror filmmaking that maybe shouldn't be a rule at all. Maybe it's made horror filmmakers lazy. And that's this idea of show less. This idea of you'll scare them by what they don't see, right? It goes back to the Jaws rule,
Yeah.
right? And it comes out of this, the whole point of it is that the truth is, the longer you look at the thing, the less scary it becomes, right? So the monster, the mannequin you've created, the blood effect, the giant shark, the longer you have a chance to stare at it, the less terrifying it is. In this movie, there were several times where they showed us the scary thing long before the characters see it. Long before. And so there were two instances where over Peter's shoulder, you can tell that his mother is clinging to the ceiling in an unnatural, creepy way, about to get him.
Yeah.
Right?
Or about to get him.
Yeah. And it's a standard it's a standard. Usually that's a jump scare.
Right.
Usually like you don't see it until it's right popping out, you know?
Or it's 2 or 3 seconds long and then they cut to the...
But they gave us like, they just let us, it just
Yeah,
sit
you
there.
just
It's
sit
just
in it.
ominous.
Yeah.
Just staring at back. It was actually way more scary that way.
Yeah.
And then she disappears into the background on the second
Yeah.
shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, the jump scare doesn't even come.
Doesn't even
in that
come, yeah.
case. And then another one was this establishing shot of the outside of the house, and there's all these naked people just standing in random places around the outside of the house. And that is before Peter runs into the first naked cult member in the house, right? So I think a standard horror filmmaker would make that a big shock moment. He runs into this naked person in his house he doesn't know. But this director chose to show us 10 to 20 naked people standing outside of the house ahead of time, before the scare, before the reveal. And it just added a layer of creepiness, because you're like, what is this? There were a lot of moments like that.
Yeah.
You know, from the very first shot.
Yeah.
We push into a dollhouse and it becomes a real room.
Yeah.
It's a cool ass shot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like really looking hard to see the scenes.
transition? Yeah.
I'm like, what?
I think I know how they did it.
Yeah.
I think it's a what do you call it? A green screen just on the wall, and I think the rest of the room is a real room but miniaturized into the dollhouse.
I
don't
think
know.
probably,
It's really hard.
I think you might be right. It's still crazy
It's
hard.
still really good looking. Something I wanted to talk about was this notion of unanswered questions. And it's something that I feel like a lot of horror tries to do and does it not right. I don't remember who said it, but someone had said, some well-known teacher had said, you have to make the audience pray for a release, you know, and people are like, yeah, that's the kind of horror I want to see, where I'm just like, just scare me already. Like, I can tell you Winchester did that. Okay, Winchester was by far the worst horror movie I've ever seen. And they have those scenes where they have a creeping long shot on something that you know is going to jump scare. Yeah, and you're just like, come on, get it over with, right? Just tell me. And it's not like, it's annoyance, not praying for a release. This film does something where I think what they do is they keep unanswered questions here. And what I mean by that is the thing where, like, in the classroom, when they don't have the girl, they don't cut to the girl who's answering the question, or when they introduce that the brother, after he crashed, or didn't crash the car, after the sister got killed, we never actually see him tell his mom. We never see the mom acknowledge him until after everything has been dealt with, and we have to fill in that gap by ourselves.
Yeah.
And
it festered in us the way it festered in Peter.
Exactly. And so there's so many of these over and over and over. And even with the cinematography, like I said, with the little shot where they come up and then come back down, and they want to show you, but they don't. And it's just all those things, they all build up, and you're just like, oh, God, give me something. I want to see something.
Yeah, they do a really, really good job of that kind of build-up. And the way they release also isn't so sudden. It's like a prolonged release.
Yeah.
It's like a constant release. Not constant through the movie, but when it begins to hit a peak of creep, it becomes a sequence in and of itself, rather than a boo.
Right.
And done.
It's like, this is the scare.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really cool.
Which brings me back to what Kenny was saying about showing the scare and showing what's scary, not keeping it off frame. When the mom is up in the corner and you sit with that knowledge and look at that for 30 seconds as the son is like kind of trying to see what's out the window, then the mom just kind of ominously and purely silently floats out the room. Then we pan over and there's some crazy naked dude standing in the shadows, just in the doorway. He's standing there.
Smiling.
Yeah, smiling, and you just get to stare at him. And it's not like...
For a long time.
Yeah.
For a long time.
And he's not physically threatening. He's
No.
just standing there.
And smiling. And the more you look at him, the creepier it gets.
Yeah.
Not the other way around.
Yeah.
That's what's amazing about this film.
When they had the shot of where she's tracking the ants over to her son in this dream sequence, we all knew what was happening, right? From where she wakes up, she sees the ants. We're like, oh, we've seen ants before on the dead head before, the dead head, as if it was a live head. And then she follows the ants into the room, and we're like, oh, we're gonna see him, and it shows him, and you're just like, oh, and you're like, you already knew it was coming, and then more closer, and you're just like, okay. Like, that's so good. When they say that a horror movie doesn't rely on jump scares, a good horror movie, this is what they're talking about.
Yeah,
You know?
exactly.
This took me really by surprise, the direction the film ended up going, because they really set this up like it was going to be a character piece about Charlie,
Yeah.
the little sister.
Yeah.
She's clearly disturbed by the passing of her grandmother. She has a bad relationship with the family, and she's a misfit. She's doing weird things like cutting off the heads of a dead bird and making a doll with it, and it's the person we are focusing on for the most of the first act, and then all of a sudden she's killed off. Right. And it was like, what? Who do I care about now? What am I supposed to be following? Who am I supposed to be invested in? And I think ultimately it became Peter. I think Peter really became...
Ultimately, yeah.
But really...
It was almost everyone.
It was everyone. I even felt very attached to the dad.
Yeah. At the times where where Annie was going a little bit nuts, and you're like, oh no, and we focus more on him and his feelings, and we're like, it's really cool to have 4 main characters in a movie.
Yeah.
That bit where you just hear the audio of the mom finding Charlie's body...
Oh, jeez.
Was so just visceral.
Disturbing.
Yeah.
Really
Wow.
disturbing.
Yeah. That's it. That's a payoff done right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You knew all the information coming up, and now you know exactly what's happening without even seeing it.
Is that just so much like a teenage boy?
Yeah.
Dude, I can totally see that.
Like he accidentally decapitates his sister, and the conclusion he makes is drive home and get in bed.
Yeah. He's like, I just can't even...
Yeah.
Like, what am I supposed to do?
Doesn't even deal with it, yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I'm just going to go get in bed, and I'll let it come to me.
Yeah.
That's
hope that I wake up and that everything's better.
Yeah. That is so real.
Yeah.
That's really quite disturbing.
That's what made it all so disturbing, is like we watched a story that in the end is a fantasy. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Fictional tale. But man, it was rooted in like such believable terms. It was almost surprising when they introduced the seance and the spirit elements.
Yeah.
Like it actually, I'm like, oh, I didn't think this was that kind of movie.
Yeah. It made it, I think, all that more unnerving.
Yeah.
I've never seen chalk right by itself, and I'm going, holy shit.
Yeah.
Like I was on the cusp of saying, is this a dream? No, this can't be a dream.
Yeah. There's a few like, as I was watching this movie, there's quite a few moments where they're introducing items, and I wasn't sure if it was working or not. To criticize it a little bit, I think, like Kenny mentioned this on the car ride, where the EpiPen, there's a few bits of dialogue that are pretty expositional.
Yeah. A little too obvious.
Yeah, just kind of blatant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It could have been done better, but it's not necessarily a hindrance.
Right.
Per se.
So with the EpiPen one, they literally broadcasted, our little girl is going to have an attack at some point.
Yeah.
Right? Because they said, is there nuts in that? I hope there's not nuts in that. You're allergic to nuts, and we don't have our EpiPen with us.
Yeah.
Right.
And then a nice close-up of the girl chopping walnuts.
Yeah.
Making the cake.
Yeah. There's a couple things like that where it's like that sequence.
They make up for it, don't they?
Yeah.
It would have been a sin. It would have been a cinema sin if she ate the cake and died from the nuts, from the allergic reaction. What they did was set you up to expect that.
Yeah.
So we were not looking for her to be freaking decapitated.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that's what made it all the more crazy and tragic.
Yeah.
Was he was on his way to try to save her from an allergy, and she ended up being killed by his recklessness.
Yeah. Yeah. So it does make up for it in a lot of ways by kind of sidestepping what you might have thought originally.
Yeah.
The other moment I thought was a little too on the nose was when the mailer was pushed through the door that said like
Seance.
Seance.
Yeah.
I actually like
for skeptics.
The reason why I like that so much was because I don't think it was so much broadcasting as it was giving a hint of something else that exists within the world. And then later on, when the girl says, "I've been doing this thing. It's called a seance. I know you're gonna think I'm crazy. It didn't come out of nowhere. You know, if we didn't have that first shot,
Yeah, you might be right.
it would have sounded like this is weird.
Yeah. Maybe they could have done it like slightly smoother. I'm not sure.
They could have. It could have been just
whole
part of the mail
twist,
when
the
they,
whole
you know.
storyline that was really just all revealed at the end of Joan secretly being good friends with her
Right.
mom and all being in this cult together. I mean, it really came out of nowhere and yet was just perfect.
Just great.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? One of the things. So dialogue, at the very, 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 very end, the last thing that's said, I thought was a little dumb. They explained everything that happened in one paragraph, and I'm like, this seems like it could have been better with just sticking with that long shot that they had and just taking out the dialogue.
Yeah.
It almost felt that way to me, but I also felt like I would not have known what was happening.
It's the same thing with me, and I'm like on the cusp. I'm not sure if I want to lean one way or the other.
It was almost a little weird. Like, I mean, if this entity is the king of the underworld reincarnated, like, does he need it to be explained to him?
Right, that's the thing.
Tell me who I am.
Right. Well, and you know what? I gotta tell you, the exact thought that went through my head is, as soon as I heard that paragraph, I was like, "Oh, Taylor's gonna hate this."
What they should have done, I didn't hate it. I love the fact that it ends with the supernatural being
true,
being real, and winning, and being like he becomes a king of hell.
Yeah.
And that's how it ends.
Right.
You know, that's awesome. What it could have done to be better, I think, is remove the paragraph, keep the hail. What is the
Payman?
Yeah,
Payman.
Hail,
That's the demon name. Yeah.
Hail Payman. Have that just be the chant into credits, and then give enough visual clues throughout the whole film to piece it together. If you watch
Well, I
the
think
movie.
I think they did give enough when she's looking at the books.
Yeah.
I mean, the
They
highlighted
did, and
segment.
the symbol, and
Yeah, so maybe they could have even cut it out and been all right, but maybe they were just a little bit worried.
it wasn't bad enough.
I think
to ruin it.
It felt
Yeah.
like they were worried, is what it felt like.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad enough to ruin it. It definitely
No.
didn't.
Yeah.
In fact, it added to it.
Having
it was just,
Charlie's head in there on top of
that was
that-
messed up.
Yeah, that was like, oh.
really shocked me.
Yeah.
Like, and I wasn't expecting I could be shocked anymore.
With
I
a
was like,
crown.
oh,
A crown of thorns.
yeah.
Yeah, that
Oh my
was
God.
something else. That was pretty crazy.
Jeez.
I want to talk about my favorite shot in this.
All right.
I already told you guys what it was. It's where we see Charlie like staring at what's the kid's name? What's the guy's name?
The brother?
Peter.
Peter.
Charlie's staring at Peter, and Charlie's standing there just staring at
like
him.
a ghost, Charlie.
Yeah. And then drops her head like this, and that drop was already unnerving.
It was like,
Yeah, because what are you planning to do here? When you see someone in the corner, a ghost, you think, okay, well, it's either going to attack or scare, and it didn't do either. It just dropped its head, who then fell off, and you're like, oh shit, because that's the thing that happened. And then it rolls over to him, but it's a basketball. Now, that made me, like, it was so interconnected with my own, like, childhood, because I remember, like, staring into corners and being afraid of the dark and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and thinking you see a person huddled in the corner,
and it's just,
but it's a sleeping bag.
But it's a sleeping bag or
wadded
something.
up.
Yeah. Or you hear something and it falls, and you're like, oh, it's just my toy or something. And that just, it was so connected that way to me, and I'm just like, oof.
Yeah. I feel like this guy, all right, so the director's name is Ari Aster,
Yeah.
and this is his first, as far as we could tell, his first feature.
His first feature and kind of his first horror. He's only been doing short comedies, all less than 20 minutes.
Yeah. So awesome. I'm looking forward to seeing more from this guy.
Yeah.
But I feel like he really had his finger on the pulse of adolescence
Oh yeah.
and understands youth really well.
Well, and the dynamic between him and his mom, between Peter and Annie.
Yeah.
That was pretty great.
How old is he? The director.
He looks very young.
He's 17.
Time to give up.
I quit.
It's over.
I quit. Let's see. He does look really. He kind of looks like me. Where's his birthday, man? They won't say.
He's unknown.
He is really unknown. No one knows anything about this guy.
How did he get to do this?
He has
Well, it's by A24, so it's a small movie.
Right,
Okay,
but
here's
still.
how new he is to the world. His official website is a Squarespace that
Oh.
where he hasn't paid for. It's a free Squarespace. It's ariaster.squarespace.com.
It's a free one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And it
Holy crap,
says
dude.
Ari Aster, writer director.
Dude,
And
That's awesome.
and
this
then
guy's
there's
going on to do something.
That is
trailers
awesome.
for all his
That's-
movies here. Like
That's
this just
cool.
looks so much like everything our friends and us do. That is awesome.
That is awesome. That's really cool.
This is, yeah, I can't find a thing about him.
Ari-aster.squarespace.com. Hey, Ari, I think you probably have enough money to buy your own custom domain now.
Yeah. I hope this. By the way, I hope this movie does well.
I do
really
too. I see it as a film that's going to have serious word of mouth.
Yeah.
I think so.
Likely to have a bigger second week than its first week.
I hope so.
Oh, yeah.
This
With-
tends to only happen with movies
Word of
like
mouth.
this.
yeah.
Yeah. No, I think this is definitely going to blow up in social space.
People are gonna be like, "This movie's actually terrifying." People in our audience were like freaking out.
They were
They
freaking
were.
awesome.
It was
Yeah.
so much fun.
Yeah, it
I
was
can't
really
remember
cool.
the last time I enjoyed an audience so much.
Yeah.
I like going to our movies at 10 in the morning and having no one else with us. 'Cause
Yeah.
Usually I hate having an audience.
Mm.
But this was a lot of fun.
Yes.
Yeah, saw this at 7 at night, and there was so many people that were like looking at the broadcast scares, and they're like, "Holy shit! Oh fuck!
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
shit."
People
Yeah.
were just like,
Yeah,
going nuts.
everyone was like, it was quite rowdy, and yet you didn't care. It
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
added.
It did. Yeah. You can feel the tension in the air.
I was annoyed
great.
by how many people started going.
Yeah. Some people started clicking, and it's like, all right,
I really
come on. this is
wanted
annoying.
to be able to like feel the times when it was real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were kind of spoiling that. but-
Yeah.
I have a bit of a thing that I don't really like in the movie. It's so little, but it's the soundtrack, and I know you guys both like the soundtrack.
I like the music.
Yeah.
It was so good, but it felt so horror movie. And I just couldn't get around it. Like Thoroughbreds, the soundtrack to Thoroughbreds made it utterly unique.
That's true.
This one, I felt like you could have gone that far, and it would have made it that much better. But they had every single turn in the hallway was followed by a and I'm just like, The thing I did like, the reoccurring theme, was this deep bass that played every time there was going to be a spirit coming, and you heard, and it was barely there.
Yeah.
Like, it was like
You
minus
know
30.
that during the horror scenes, the music was good, but also tropey,
Yeah.
as you're saying. And I
Yeah.
think that's your criticism. But at the very beginning of the film, like when they were at the funeral, at a time when you'd expect them to have more like place setting music, that was
They
just,
didn't have that.
They had weird
Yeah,
music.
I did like that.
Like they started off with weird music. The
I did.
tone was there from the beginning.
Yeah, no, it definitely was. It definitely was. There was, I think, 2 times in the film where they started playing the soft piano, although it it wasn't piano. I don't know what it was, but it was soft music to let you know that things are okay. That kind of music. They did it twice, and it lasted for maybe 5 seconds until it went back to
Things
crazy.
were never okay.
Right.
I especially love the score at the end of the film in that last scene. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like
when
accordions and saxophones.
Yeah,
and
it shifted
was
to
crazy.
like triumphant music.
Yeah.
Like,
And-
they won.
Well, it was a coronation.
Yeah.
That's why it was a coronation.
That's right.
That's really creepy. That's
Yeah,
I love
especially when there was a rotting, headless old woman corpse,
Yeah.
a very fresh headless corpse.
It's like the movie is celebrating
The
now.
head, the head of a little girl.
Yeah,
on
his
a,
sister.
on a Don Quixote statue,
that. Yeah.
and then a bunch of kneeling naked people.
2 of them headless.
Yeah, that was just wild. I love the last shot pulled back to again re-tie into this whole sort of dollhouse motif.
Yeah.
Where the everything outside of the set of this treehouse was just black.
Yeah. That was so
really
good.
cool.
That was really nice.
I had a thought process when they started introducing the spiritual elements of this film. And when they started initially introducing it, I was actually pretty disappointed.
I was too.
Which they go on to do expertly, just perfectly, pretty
Yeah.
much. But it made me think about the supernatural in horror movies and how supernatural, like I almost couldn't think of a movie, a horror film that didn't have some element of supernatural spirits to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have like your slasher films like Freddy, that's not like ghosts, or Friday the 13th, I mean.
Yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Yeah, but Freddy's definitely supernatural.
Freddy is supernatural.
Right.
Jason Voorhees is like a zombie.
Yeah.
But everything else, The Exorcist is rooted in
The
Catholics,
Satan.
and The Shining is rooted in ghosts and spirits.
Right.
Why is it always? Is it possible to even make a horror movie without spirituality?
We've seen it before. I mean, we've seen shoot, I just had it in my head and now it's gone.
Well, there is often horror movies where the supernatural is proven to not be supernatural.
Yeah.
But throughout the movie, that's still what they're afraid of.
Yeah. Why is that the thing to be afraid of? But here's an example.
I think that's what makes horror as opposed to suspense.
Well, it's because it's because you're leaving what you know, right? And when you start entering the unexplainable, then that's when you're like feeling uneasy and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's easy to do in plot like that.
Another movie that comes to my head that's not supernatural is The Purge.
So anyway, we're not going to... Anyway.
Recipient of another golden helmet. Purge.
Look out for The Purge. The first Purge coming to theaters near you.
I don't think we're going to cover that one.
Depending on how much they pay us, we might got one of these for you.
So there is something else that this movie did fantastic that every other movie does shitty, and that's possession.
Oh gosh. Yeah.
Yeah.
There were
2.
So they did this in the trailer of what do you call it? What's the movie? Truth or Dare. So in Truth or Dare, they're all. I haven't seen the movie. None of us have, but they become possessed by the game, and and there's a part where a guy falls and kills himself by slamming his head on the table, and it's supposed to be a jump scare. It's like one of those you fall down and you weren't expecting that, and oh no, and dumb. But they did it here with him in the classroom, and all he did was bang his head against the table 3 times.
Freaky.
And it was nuts.
Yeah.
It felt
It
painful.
started with him like he raised his hand in this like
In this like
really freaky
the emperor way.
It was like another body was just squeezed into his.
Right.
That's what it was like. It was like he was being contorted and controlled.
Yeah, and his face wasn't like super crazy, but it was just weird. and then the whole
He freaking
slam
breaks his face.
And then what really gets to me about that is after he does the slam, he when he comes back and falls off of his chair and he screams, and we like sit on the scream
A long time.
yeah, for like 3 or 4 seconds while the students are freaking out.
Yeah.
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 I was surprised at how quickly in this film I came to the conclusion that this was one of the best horror films I've ever seen. It didn't take the whole movie for me to get to that point. It was maybe after the second act I was sold. Just like, this is one of the best I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Unless it blows it somehow from here on out, I am like, this is amazing.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty cool how good movies like that broadcast how good they are so early.
Yeah. Yeah. Honestly, just the first act alone, everything up until Charlie dies
Yeah.
was incredible.
It was, yeah.
But that left me thinking, what are better?
Better?
Which horror movies are better? And the only thing that's coming quickly to my mind is The Shining. But The Shining's coming to my mind because of its like place of honor. Like,
Yeah.
you honestly can't compare the two movies. They're very different.
I think Alien is, again, it's, I don't know if,
Alien is often lumped into the horror genre because it's in essence a haunted house.
it is a
But
horror.
it's a spaceship with an alien instead of a house with a ghost.
Right.
You know?
Right.
It's great.
I don't know.
I think The Shining is...
It's not as scary as these two films, as Shining or this movie.
It's definitely, yeah, no,
Hereditary.
definitely not as scary as The Shining.
I think Shining and Exorcist are both better than this.
Exorcist is a good one. It's hard for me to say now because both of those movies are so iconic that they become very difficult to judge. I have like emotions, connected to those.
Right.
I saw The Exorcist when I would say like 13
Nice.
at my friend's house.
Nice.
My friend's dad, he's just like, your parents are okay with this, right, Kenny? And I'm like, yeah, let's watch this. And I kid you not, I was terrified to walk home alone in the broad daylight after watching that. Like, it was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, and I had the hardest time walking home. I was just like really disturbed.
I constantly looked over my shoulder and couldn't get to sleep for a while. After, oh shoot, what is it? The Sixth Sense.
Yeah, that freaked me out a lot.
Well, horror movies, the one of the horror movie tropes that always gets me, and if it doesn't get me during the movie, it gets me after. And this one had it many times, and that's when the scene begins when someone's in bed.
Yeah.
It's always when they're in bed.
They keep cutting back
and
to
they
the
peek
bed.
up over the and they see something. Oh,
Yeah.
And it's because like when you're in bed, you're just sort of you're vulnerable.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to shut down your body, which means put yourself in a position where someone could literally walk up and kill you.
Right.
Right. It's the most vulnerable you are is when you're sleeping, and so the idea that there's someone next to your bed, not that terrifies me all that much because it happens to me regularly. Where
Where you wake up to your
I wake
child.
up and there's my daughter just standing there, just looking at me.
And she goes,
Dude, if that happened, I'd probably punch her. Boom. Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry. I saw this movie. Yeah.
Dad, all these guys were doing it at school.
It's like they stand there and think a while before they wake me up. It's like they're like wondering. They're like, should I wake him up? What should I say? And I always wake up while they're in that inner dialogue. So I just wake up and there's this child just looking at me, and I'm like, ugh.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw The Exorcist relatively unbiased because I didn't watch it until I just saw it for the first time 3 years ago, so pretty recently, and I was kind of blown away by that.
I saw it also recently. I think about, not as recently. I think it was about 6 years ago. And I was actually blown away with how much effort went into it.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like this is really good. There was no, but I didn't feel the dread that I did here. But I think it's an environment thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
That was actually I didn't mean to do that.
That was a really creepy. That was just a really good way to add to the sort of creepiness of that character.
It's the first time I've ever heard a jump scare scare an entire audience with a little
weird sound. You know, the first time after she was dead.
Yeah.
The first time that it happened, like everyone in the audience just
like,
crap. We were like ready to run. There was a guy who did get like run. Later in the movie, it was when they showed the mom in the corner for the first time, and then she crawls across the wall. Like this dude on the end just left. He was just like, "I'm out."
He's like, "Nope,
nope,
not happening."
Yeah, but just something about how she had it was like a Tourette's tick.
Yeah,
is that she just every so often went.
Yeah, that's all it was. Crazy.
Yeah, man, this movie was next level. Hella fucking eppin'.
It was next level. It was great. And I think it's up there with only one other movie. It's worth saying that if we had been giving out to the coveted recognition of the golden scuba helmet, if we had rung the helmet for other great movies up to this point, there's only one other movie we would have done it for.
Yeah.
And we have seen some good movies, right?
Yeah.
We've seen Shape of Water. We've covered...
Thoroughbreds.
Say again?
Thoroughbreds.
So good.
Yeah.
Annihilation was great. Phantom Thread was great.
Yeah.
None of them get the golden scuba diver.
No.
We would only ring the helmet if we could go back in time and ring it again.
And if it could actually ring.
Well, I'm expecting you to add in a sound effect of some kind.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. We would ring it for Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah.
So those two films thus far are the pinnacle of everything we've seen so far.
Yeah.
Blade Runner 2049 and now Hereditary, easily the scariest thing I have seen since I was terrified by The Exorcist. And if I had to say it was the best horror film I've ever seen, I could say that without feeling wrong.
Yeah, we're not feeling terrible about yourself.
It was truly great.
I'd still say Shining overtakes it. But, I mean, the fact that I'm even saying is crazy.
That is a huge thing to say.
Saying that we just saw a film that's in the same neighborhood.
It's The Shining.
That's a massive
deal.
That's crazy.
It's a big deal.
So if you ever think, what the crap do these guys actually like? Blade Runner 2049 and Hereditary.
Yeah, they're the cream of the crop.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. This is not you're not going to see this often.
No.
No. This was once in every 30 episodes so far.
Yeah.
31 episodes.
Yep.
And that might just be luck.
Yeah.
Like, I was shocked.
No, I really don't think we're ever going to see that again.
No.
I was hoping this was going to be a good movie. I had high hopes that this was going to be a good one, but I did not anticipate it was going to be this good.
That's another thing. We went into Solo with such low expectations
that we were like, that was great.
Good. And we went up to this one with really high expectations.
Yeah, because I was like,
it still went over.
It was clearly an art house film.
Yeah.
It was clearly really sort of edgy and daring, which is something we always like.
It wasn't pandering.
Yeah, and it looked like it was just well done.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of the critical response had all been really good. So I anticipated this is going to be a good one, but man, over delivered.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
actually, yeah. There's one marketing line that says "Believe the hype," and I kept making fun of it, but it's actually real.
It's true. Totally true statement. Believe the hype, folks. This is a great movie.
Now everyone who watched this without seeing the film is going to go watch the movie and be like, that wasn't that good.
Dude, it starts out actually really, really, really slow.
Yeah, it does.
To its
enormous credit.
Enormous credit.
Yeah. Well, I think it's about that time that we head up to the treehouse, pay our homage to the new King of Hell.
Hell yeah.
Before we do, I was going to order a pizza. Do you guys want anything?
Oh, it's that
geez.
time again,
Oh,
everybody.
man.
Do I hear a pizza man?
This is Payman Pizza.
Oh, wow.
Oh, King of Hell pizza. All right, you tell us,
Yeah,
Steve, what kind of pizza is this?
Oh man, I've never been to New York. You know that?
But now you feel like you've been to a New York pizzeria.
I do.
And had that great pizza that everyone talks about.
I do. I feel like I met what's his name? I don't know the guy's name. Earl, I think his name is. He
Earl,
has, He has a wife beater. He's
Earl.
kind of sweaty. He has chest hair sticking out. You go over there and you say, "Can I get like a slice of pizza?" And he's like, "You want a pie?" And you're like, "Sure. What's a pie?"
Yeah.
And then he goes and gets you the pizza, and he's kind of rude to you. You eat it, and you're like, "Oh, this is what have I been eating?" That's what this is.
You
That's
said
a good
that-
pizza.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
that
good.
is really
What do you
good.
say?
It'd probably be also New York, and it would be like kind of like a hole in the wall restaurant that just got kind of renovated to be kind of high scale, like a really fancy place, and all the reviews are nothing but praise. And you're like, what? Come on.
Can't be
It was
that
just
good.
like, how can that happen? It used to have that hole in the wall, good quality, but now it's just like this fancy preppy thing.
Whatever.
Yeah, but you go there anyway, and it's the best pizza. It's just the best pizza in the
It's
city.
the best.
Yeah, it's just the best. No way around
You
it.
like believe the hype?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much on the head. I would say same thing. You get to that place, you take a bite of your pizza, and you're chewing. You're like, and then you stop chewing, but you still hear. And you turn around, and your mother is sawing off her own head. And then you get chased by a bunch of naked people out through a window and die
I love when that happens.
after eating the best pizza of your life. That is Hereditary.
It's good.
Yeah.
Good with me.
All right. That doesn't sound like a good pizza at all.
Well, it was,
Oh,
but you also got scared out of your mind.
gotcha.
Well, I think that about does it. We'll be back here next week with our next short film roundup.
Yep.
And then after that, we have...
Well, this is kind of
we're
a
gonna have
special
a
week.
surprise.
This is-
yeah,
yeah.
we're going to do an Ocean's 8 episode as well. So
Yeah.
we'll squeeze in an extra episode, which is fun. And then Incredibles 2
Yeah.
is next.
That'll be
which
cool.
I hear is just as scary
Yeah. Oh man, Dash. Oof.
and edgy.
Edgy.
Just as edgy as Hereditary.
It's R-rated.
Yeah. It is a hard R.
Hard R, Incredibles 2.
Elastigirl does some things. I'll just leave it at that.
She takes her arm and goes.
She cuts off her own head.
Animated blood. 3D animated blood.
Yeah.
Huh.
They.
Oh, what's that? The Happy Time Killers? Is that what it's called?
Oh, is that YouTube thing?
Oh gosh.
Oh, no.
No.
Yeah.
That's the what's her name, McCarthy.
The Muppet thing?
Yeah. It's a hard R Muppet style movie. The trailer is over the top.
Crazy.
Did you see it?
Yeah. I love the last scene.
Yeah, the Muppet ejaculate.
What?
It's insane. I'll have to see
Okay.
it.
Anyway,
I don't know if I can watch it.
on that note,
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll see you at the talkies.
Bye.
I'm Kenny,
I'm D.
I'm Taylor.
and that is the Golden Helmet.
Hereditary.
Maybe someday we'll see it come out again.
That would be amazing if we could.
But until then, we'll see you at the next mediocre or terrible movie at the talkies. Nice job, guys.